The Steam Machine is the most anticipated product of 2026, especially within the tech and gaming sphere. The only thing about that is it's probably going to be very difficult to get one and probably difficult for Valve to manufacture them. And there's a couple reasons for that. The top of the list is going to be RAM, just because we're seeing that there's a massive RAM shortage. For those who don't know, RAM is what you put into computers. It's also what's in these gaming devices, the handhelds, consoles, and all that. So there's a lot of shortages going around. So we're going to talk about that, as well as we got to talk about the Switch 2 doing so well. We also got to talk about PlayStation 6 and potential with Steam, as well as Xbox, because we love Xbox over here. We love gaming in general. So let's go ahead and talk about all that and more in the latest episode of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. Let's go ahead and get into it. What's up, everybody? Mekel Kasanova here, back with another episode of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. And we got to talk about the Steam Machine. I've done 2 podcasts on this particular item. One blew up astronomically, millions of downloads across all platforms, millions of views on TikTok and on Instagram talking about this thing. Literally a reaction and a analysis, and it just took off. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. But then I had a follow-up because I had to, even though I'm super excited for this, I had to talk about the nonsense, which was people who think that this is going to kill console gaming. And folks, it's not even a console. I don't understand. The same people who say Xbox and PlayStation putting their games on PC devalues the platform and it just makes more sense to play games on PC are the same folks that are saying a PC is a console. Make this shit make sense. It doesn't make sense. But nonetheless, that's how people shift goalposts. They do all that because that's just what people do. Anyways, all that being said, I want to talk about the main issue because there's a couple talking points. We're going to talk about the Steam Machine. We're going to talk about availability, pricing. We're also going to talk about the PlayStation 6 and it being PC focused, as well as Xbox. And then we're going to talk about the Switch. We're just going to be talking about gaming all around the bin. So let's go ahead and start off with. So I'm going to pull up this first article that I was looking at. And let me go ahead and get this up for you guys. Booyah. The article from Vice. Okay. So Vice basically says that the Steam Machine, and let me just go ahead and go full screen. There we go. So the Steam Machine might be impossible to purchase in 2026, according to the new report. Now, the Steam Machine might be difficult to purchase after launch due to a worldwide shortage of hardware components. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said, RAM is actually going to be a big factor here, but there's also a couple other things. So we're going to go through this report from Brett Coep from Vice. It says a new report has revealed that the Steam Machine might be very difficult to purchase after its launch, according to the Insider. Valve's new console should just be canceled if they didn't prepare for its 2026 release. While many have focused on the Steam Machine price, the real problem might be supplies, and we're going to get to the price soon. So Steam Machine could suffer major launch issues. While the jury is still out on the Steam Machine price, a new report claims that Valve's console, it's a PC, it's not a console, might face another problem altogether. The latest update comes from Moore's Law is Dead, who explained that the Steam Machine could be nearly impossible to purchase due to impending RAM shortage crisis, or due to the impending RAM shortage crisis. We already know that right now this is impacting Xbox dramatically, which is why they're actually partnering with another company to up, I believe they want to have 4.5 million or so Xboxes created per year with the new company that they're working with. And I know this is impacting PlayStation. They're just not going to talk about it. They are as open about talking about their stuff as Xbox is. And also narratives are going to go, oh, this is the death of Xbox. No, it's not. Shut your face. Like, we don't need to hear that. Anyways, let's keep going. Moore's Law is Dead said Valve would need would have needed to have bought up a lot of DDR5 memory in advance to avoid supply issues. Now, when it comes to the pricing, either Valve bought up a large stockpile of DDR5 a couple of months ago, or they didn't. If they did, they will have enough to make an aggressively priced console, again, PC, launch early next year. It'll probably then sell out. So if they bought up enough RAM, they can do a normal launch. They can surprise people with how cheap it is, but then it will sell out and it will be hard to get for a long time. I could definitely see that. The Tech Insider went on to give a dire warning about the Steam Machine if Valve didn't buy up enough RAM before the next worldwide shortage. They didn't buy up RAM ahead of time. I think they need to just cancel this. So yeah, that doesn't sound good. Of course, Moore's Law is dead. Clarified that he doesn't know whether Valve stocked up on DDR5 in advance or not. Either way, it seems like the Steam Machine is going to be difficult to buy because of the RAM crisis. Now, let's continue on with this article. It says Valve might need to release a second Steam Machine without RAM. Interesting. I know it's going to be, and this is me interjecting here. I know this is going to be something that you can modify, but I don't know if that's something I would like. If they do release a second Steam Machine without RAM, that's going to be something that purely people like me, tinkerers, and even me, I don't have the time to tinker. I got a family, so I don't have time to really tinker and MacGyver stuff as much as I used to. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, so this would be something for the tinkerers. But what's the maximum of the RAM that this can take? So if they're going to sell one without a RAM, and this is all hypothetical, I'm not saying that Valve is going to do this at all. However, if they do, they could dramatically undercut it by at least $200 to $300. But that's just speculation on my part. Let's keep going with this article. Interestingly, Moore's Law is dead said that Valve might need to release a second bare bones version of the console, again, PC. The hardware expert explained that Valve could launch a Steam machine without an SSD, and I don't see that happening. The new version could be sold until the RAM shortage bubble ends and supplies return back to normal. If this ends up happening, only the initial batch of launch Steam machines will have their full components. This is why when the pre-orders open, I'm in there day one, off rip. They will probably sell a bare bones edition of that console. I think it's pretty obvious they are going to have to sell a version of the Steam machine that doesn't come with an SSD or RAM for most of its early life cycle, while also having these other Steam machine options with SSD and RAM whenever they can get supplies back in stock. My opinion on this is I understand where the person's coming from, the insider's coming from, as well as Moore's Law is dead. I can understand their perspective. This is just very unlikely. Now, knowing Valve, and especially Gabe, they prep for this well ahead of time. Now, I'm saying this with complete confidence for the single reason that they learned from the experience of how the Steam Deck was over the course of 2022. Or is it 2023? It's either 22 or 23. I forget which one it was. I think it's 23. Could have been 2022. Either way, they learned. Yeah, it's 2022. So they learned in that time frame what to expect. Right? You know, you had how that rollout. It took months for folks to be able to get their Steam Decks, even if you pre-ordered it. You could not something you just order offhand. A lot of us had to like for the second one I got from my partner, I had to get that off of eBay. That's how I got one. And the other one I got straight from Valve. So that's one of the things I'm looking at. Like that is a possibility right there. Um, that they've gone through this and they know, okay, this is what we went through. These are the steps we can take to mitigate something like that happening again. And I can clearly see them doing the whole thing with RAM shortage, if you haven't been paying attention to everything, and I know folks want to say, oh, it's because of Trump, it's because of tariffs. If you motherfuckers think that tariffs, this is the first time tariffs have affected anything, or first time it's been aggressive like this, get out of your fucking mind. It is not. Other countries astronomically high tariffs on the US, and we did gleefully pay for that shit while they just pocketed all that extra money off of us. The fact that we have become aggressive, and I'm looking at this from an economical standpoint, I don't give a fuck if you do or don't like Trump. That's not my concern. This isn't about politics, but this is just about economics. We have the fact that we aggressively put the tariffs out the way they are, and these companies, oh, we're not going to, or not these companies, these countries are like, oh, we're not going to do it. And then a week later, they're all agreeing to it. It's economics. And it's just amazing. People now can't understand anything without trying to make it political, which is annoying. But that's economics, right? I understand economics can be rooted in politics, but it's just, I get so tired of left versus right bullshit all the time. But anyways, um, if you were keeping up with the RAM situation, we've had a RAM shortage type of situation, just like we had with the graphics cards and power supply units back in 2020, 2021. That's been a thing that's been going on for years now. It's only being talked about by the major outlets, and that is one of the reasons why so many people, it's in the public vernacular now, is because major outlets are talking about this, major influencers are talking about this. But if you've been in the tech sector, you understand this shit's been, you knew about this already. You were prepped for it. And so if you didn't know about it, now you know. But I have full confidence that Valve knew, and they've been prepping about this, because they didn't just decide, oh, let's just drop this reveal. They've been working on this for years. So I'm pretty sure, especially when they let these influencers like ETA Prime and Linus and Dave 2D and Marquez Brownlee and all these other people like have hands on and actually get their units ahead of time. I'm pretty sure that they already have a whole bunch made already. Okay. So I'm not even stressed about that. So I understand this article. It has a lot of valid roundabout ways of looking at this, but knowing Valve, especially after what they went through with the Steam Deck, the initial one, oh, they're prepared for this. All right, let's keep going. That's why I don't see them doing one with no SSD. What is the point? You're just selling a case at that point. So it says, regardless, it sounds like the Steam Machine has a steep hill to climb when it launches in 2026. Valve has to release it at a price that most will be happy with, while also facing a major shortage of one of the device's key components. This means if you have any interest, you're going to want to buy a Steam Machine at launch, which I do recommend you do. With what's going on with the RAM storage, Valve's console is going to be extremely difficult to purchase next year. Now, all truths are but half truths. So you say in the esoteric mindset, all truths are but half truths. Because there is truth in that. Let's check out this article they have. Talking about the price point. Now, this is also from Brent. This is from November 30th. The other article we just looked at was about 2 days ago, the time of this recording. So December 3rd. Today's December 5th as the time I'm recording this. Or if you're watching on Riverside, which I stream my podcast live on Riverside, so you can check it out there. Anyways, Lions Tech Tips. He says, Lions Tech Tips reveals Steam Machine price predictions, and it's expensive. YouTuber Lions Tech Tips has revealed that he thinks the Steam Machine price will be what he thinks the Steam Machine price will be, and it's definitely more expensive than a console. It's not a fucking console. I'm so tired of the goalposts moving to try. The same folks who are like, who wants to buy a console? Just get a Steam Deck, just get a PC, just do that. Are the same folks now saying, oh, this is a console. It's annoying. Anyways, let's keep it moving. After weeks of speculation and after weeks of rumors and speculation, Lions Tech Tips has now revealed what he thinks the Steam Machine price will be. The tech YouTuber's estimates are right. Players could be paying a lot more for the Valve console than a PS5. Again, it's PC, it's not a console. Lions Tech Tips thinks the Steam Machine price will be $700. If you're tired of hearing about speculation surrounding the Steam Machine price, I get it. Ever since the Valve console was announced in October, it's been a whirlwind of information with little answers. However, this latest update from Lions Tech Tips is interesting for a few reasons. For starters, the tech reviewer was the first one to reveal that the Steam Machine would be priced as a PC and not a console. It's a PC, it's not a console. I'm so tired of this. Valve would eventually come out weeks later and confirm that what Lions Tech Tips had said was accurate. Secondly, the YouTuber has now broken down the known specs of the device and thinks he has a decent price estimate. According to November 27th video, Lions Tech Tips believes the Steam Machine the price could be $699 based on its hardware, components, and features. In the upload, the YouTuber went out and bought the exact parts in the Valve console to get his pricing window. I think The Steam Machine will be $6.99 if there are no major changes in the market. It's probably above Valve's cost today, and there will be some opportunity for them to improve their margins over the several-year lifespan of their device. If we factor in the dedicated antenna for up to 4 wireless Steam controllers, not to mention the controller itself, the Steam Machine presents a compelling value at that price without completely undercutting the market. Steam Machine is a PC, not a console. Finally, so stop putting in your articles as a console. It's a PC. Another argument Lions Tech Tips makes is that the Steam Machine is not a console. As he points out, it's a fully functioning PC that can do a lot more than home gaming consoles, purely on the software side alone. Yes, you can use SteamOS to essentially be a full Linux computer. It is. It runs off of Linux. So literally, if you want to do Word documents, video editing, coding, it's a computer. It has a full desktop mode. It just boots into Steam Big Picture mode because that's the default of what it's going to do. It cuts out background processes, so it's going to just game. But that's essentially what the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine do. They launch in Steam Big Picture mode, but they are Linux computers, Linux devices that run Linux. So if you want, which is the third operating, well, yeah, it's the third because it was Windows, Mac, and Linux, right? Or Windows, Linux, and Mac, and then you've got Chrome OS for Chromebooks, which is basically just Chrome. So I mean, those are the four operating systems, right? But it's a PC. It's not a console. Another argument Lions Tech Tips makes is that the Steam Machine is not a console. As he points out, it's a fully functioning PC. It can do a lot. Okay, so I read that already. Says a big part of the reason I want this to be affordable so bad is because it is a PC. Benefits of a PC. For example, no cost online play for most games. The ability to take advantage of Steam sales, and most importantly, the ability to use it for all kinds of non-gaming applications. Now, this is one of the things I hear a lot of people bring up in a way for how they want to say that the Steam Machine is just better to get that than to get any type of console. And they also leer this conversation towards emulation, which is, we all know it's illegal. I mean, it's not illegal if you physically own a copy of a game or you digitally own it, but when it comes to emulation, it's a gray area to talk about. If you work with Nintendo, they don't want to hear about it. A lot of these companies don't want to hear about it, but yeah, you can emulate on a Steam Deck easy. But the thing is, people who talk about the no cost online play for most games, right? That has always been a thing with PC. You've always gotten the benefit of being able to play the game without needing to pay to play online. Console, their thing is you pay to play online. The company that started that was Xbox. Xbox Live. I remember back in 2002, that's when they started this. That's when you had to pay for online. Now, prior to that, a lot of people forget this though. You had online gaming on the Sega Genesis and by proxy the Super Nintendo with the X-Band. I don't know how many people are old enough to remember that. I had one. It wasn't great, but you could play online against folks. You could and those and I'm talking about the early mid '90s. But you can play online against folks. You could download games and all that. There's the only fee was like how much it ate up on your phone line. And then we got online gaming with the Sega Dreamcast, which you didn't, the only thing you're paying for is basically your internet access. At the time, you had so many different ways to get internet back in the day, but you still needed a phone line, right? But everything else with that was free. All the games were free. PlayStation barely had online functionality, or PlayStation 2. GameCube only had like two games, which was Fantasy Star Online 1 and 2, and I believe Fantasy Star Online 2 or 3 the card battler. So those are the games that utilize online functionality or for the GameCube, and then by proxy those are the consoles that use it. But Xbox started off with it. And with it, you got superior netcode, smoother experience playing online, chat functionality, which was nearly equivalent to a PC at the time, which we didn't have that on the other platforms for a good while. So that's just the thing is like it's just part of consoles. Like we started seeing the PlayStation 3 came around and then it had free internet, right? You didn't pay for anything, but online was crappy, servers weren't great. It just, they didn't think that far ahead. And then eventually midway through, or maybe even a quarter into the PlayStation 3 life cycle, that's when we started having to pay to play online. PlayStation, what was it? PlayStation Plus. So that was in it was before the 2010s. This is like what, 2000, I want to say like 2008, 2009 is when it started becoming a thing. And then Nintendo didn't start charging until we got Nintendo Switch Online. And then they, even them, they're still generations behind, but that's just part of what you get with buying a console is you got to pay to play online. These companies are going to get their money back. Everyone who thinks, oh, it should just be free, should be free. If you think everything in this world is about being free, you're a fucking idiot. You are a fucking idiot if you think everything in this world is about being free. It's not. There's nothing in this world that is technically free. And any of these companies that makes products that are for sale should tell you that these companies are for profit. And this is something gamers just don't seem to grasp this. They always want to say, oh, greed, this is greed, this is greed, this is greed. Now, if you were in the same position to do the same thing, you'd do the same thing. Like, goddamn, be honest. Motherfuckers be lying all the goddamn time. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So interestingly, Science Tech Tips Steam Machine price breakdown varies a bit from Moore's Law is dead. In his spec analysis, the tech expert said that Valve could easily charge 425 to 500 and still make a profit. Moore's Law is dead, and also made this prediction before the recent worldwide RAM shortage crisis. Unexpected shift in the market has driven the price of memory up by hundreds of dollars. In his latest video, Moore's Law is dead, explained that if Valve had bought up a lot of RAM, so we basically in this. They keep saying console, it's not. So let's just. So I'm gonna jump over here. So let's go ahead and just talk about it. Let me my stuff. Anyways, so let's go ahead and break it down. Okay. So off top, oh yeah, if y'all want to get this shirt, greatness on a different level mode, God mode, available now. I've sold thousands of this shirt. Links will be in the description down below. Over on my spring shop, I got it in tank tops, hoodies, t-shirts, diecast stickers, all of the above. It's all there. Anyways, let's keep going. So let's go. I'm looking at this whole thing, and to be completely honest off the top, I don't see there being any issue whatsoever for Valve when it comes to the Steam Machine. I don't think there's going to be shortages. I do think if you want one, you need to get your ass up when the pre-orders go live and be there day one to be able to get it. Because if not, I don't know what to tell you. Don't cry about it. Don't come to me about it. Don't be, don't be trying to be like, I'm trying to save money. I'm waiting for a sale. Look, if you want something, you're going to get it. It's all about, and I got to shout out to my boy, Avedon Smith. He says this, and this is absolutely true. If you have value, if what you're selling, your product brings value, your product, your service, or whatever else, if it brings value, then people don't give a damn about the price. They're going to be there. And they'll be there to be there day one up in that piece. They might even pre-order. So if you're someone who sits a lot on stuff, hey, it just doesn't have the value for you. All right. But if this is something you want, you need to be up in that piece day one. Day one. Now, granted, kinks and irons and all that gets all the issues get ironed out over time. That's true. But nonetheless, if you want it, be there day one because it's going to be difficult. Like all brand new things that come out, new tech, especially within the gaming and PC sector, all of that becomes very, very difficult to get down the road if you're not there day one. Now, 6 months to a year later, a little bit more easier to get. But if you're not there at day one, man, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. So just keep that in mind. But I do think that this RAM shortage, I don't think I have full confidence that they prep for it. Now I already talked about why I think that is, and it's just because they've already went through this with the Steam Deck. They didn't have this issue with the Steam Deck OLED. I don't think they're going to have this. And I'm quite confident they're not going to have this with the Steam Machine. Now the VR headset, maybe, maybe not. Steam controller, guaranteed that's going to be everywhere. You're going to easily be able to get that. So I'm not even worried about them. Now, as far as the price go, I have talked numerous times about the price where I feel like you're going to have three different options and it's going to be based off of storage. I'm going to shuffle around my mentality of it because previously I had 256, 512, and 1 terabyte. I'm going to just stick it to this. They're going to have three configuration options. They're going to have 512, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte. And with the fact that you can probably interswap SSDs, you can probably put a bigger one in there. I don't know if it's going to use an M SSD. Like, well, obviously it's going to use that, but I don't know if it's going to be the smaller or the bigger one, right? It could be either of those. But I think those are the three configuration options that they're going to have. And those are the ones that I think are going to be priced appropriately. Now, the 512 one, I could see that costing 700 to 800, and then probably 900 to 1,000 for the 1 terabyte, and the 2 terabyte I could see being 13 to 15. Now, there are going to be people that are going to say that's too expensive. That's too expensive. No, baby, that's not too expensive. That's just out of your price range. Get your money up. Prioritize. Save. Use Klarna. Whatever. PayPal later. I don't ever. One thing people like to do a lot is people like to shop for other folks with their wallet, or as we like to call it, and if you come from the hood, pocket watch. I don't pocket watch nobody. I see the price, cool. It's either for me or it's not. I keep it pushing either way. So I'm looking at this. Those are the prices I think: 700, 1,000, in either 13 or 1,500 for the 2 terabyte. They can get away with that because they're going to sell the hardware at a loss, but they're making up for it in services, in games. Everything is on their platform, so they could literally sell it for cheaper and still beat out the market. So when you're looking at what this is, and you look at the specs of this, and you're looking at why I'm pricing it the way it is a PC. It's a gaming PC. It's a gaming desktop. It's just in a small form factor. And because of the form factor of it, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is something I see people having. Like, I'm buying two of them. Just get y'all up. Let y'all know I'm buying two. I'm gonna have one at this desk right behind me, and I'm gonna have one up in the living room. Might even get three. Put one right here by the TV. So if I'm laying in bed, actually, no, not even. I'll just get two. If I want to go bring it to the bedroom, I'll just move the one from the living room over here, and there we go. I'm looking at this. This is the specs and the overall performance of this are at a mid-range, lower to mid-range PC. I'm thinking performance on this is going to be closer to like, a 30, a 3070, 3080, maybe a 3090, possibly a 40 series. But that's where I'm seeing it. I'm not seeing you being able to, like, you're not going to run games on this at 4K, 144 frames per second, or up to 8K, anything like that. Even the whole capability of running these games at 4K with this, you're still going to have to toggle some settings. Like, it's not going to out the box. Like, I've got a 5090 in my gaming desktop here that I got sent from MSI. In this one right here, I can throw everything in it. It runs everything. Some things better than others, but this is the maxed out. I don't see this Steam machine competing with this. Now, and that's the other thing too. You look at price, a lot of the better gaming PCs, depending on sales, some sales are available, can be 1,000 and up. But typically your range is going to be 1,500 and up for the higher tier, from mid to higher tier. So for what this is offering in simplicity of use of it, that's why I say the price range is going to be what it is. Now, that's just speculation, but I've been right many other times for many other things. So I'm confident in what I'm talking about. I'm not just shooting the shit here. I mean, I'm shooting the shit with y'all, but I'm keeping it a buck. Now, I think this thing is going to be an astronomical success. I think a lot of people are going to buy it. The only thing I'm thinking is it's not going to have any brick and mortar retail action. It should. I think they should partner with Best Buy and get it in stores so people can just go there. However, if they're controlling distribution of it, the manufacturer and the distribution, they're just going to keep it all in house. It's just you're going to just need to get it from Steam, off of Steam. So the device itself is going to be astronomical, kid. That's without question. I said that about the Steam Deck before that came out. Folks said, "Oh, you crazy? Ain't nobody gonna want that." And then it's like, "Oh." And then I had people in my DMs like, "Yo, is that actually good? Is the Steam Deck actually good?" No, motherfucker, it is shit. What you think? I'm just saying, man. I see it being an astronomical hit. And now let's pivot and talk. Let's pivot gears. We're going to talk about the. I want to talk about the Switch 2 because it's so funny. The amount of people just gaming discourse in general to me is just so tiresome at this point because there's so many people that just complain about everything within gaming. It's why I don't really associate with other people who are into gaming or even into tech or really into anime or anything I enjoy. I kind of just keep to myself. I like what I like and I keep it pushing. And I look at this and it's like, all right, cool. So you guys hate the Switch too. You motherfuckers keep buying the fucking thing. So make up your damn mind. Do you hate it or do you love it? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Like it's just there's so much flip flop, and I'm just like, bro, I can't keep up with it. But nonetheless, sorry, I'm looking at my phone. I ain't got my glasses on. But nonetheless, I'm looking at this and I see the Switch 2 being just an astronomical smash hit. When it comes to a lot of people, it's interesting. If you go on like the Facebook group or the Reddit group for the Switch 2, you have so many people in these groups that absolutely hate this thing. And I'm just like, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't understand this. If you don't like something, why the fuck do you talk about shit you don't like? If you don't like the Switch 2, why are you in a group for the Switch 2? If you don't like it at all, why do you talk about it? Just talk about stuff. And it's just nature. I understand people in the inherent attraction to negativity. It's just there. It's annoying, but it's there. So I'm just like, all right, cool. So you don't like this, but you keep talking about it. You keep saying nobody should buy the Switch 2. All these YouTubers are like, oh, it's gonna fail. No one should buy it. The prices up front, blah blah blah. You don't notice that people don't talk about the price no more. People ain't talking. They ain't bitching, whining, crying, pissing, and moaning about the price no more. They don't talk about that shit because when you've sold millions of units and this has gone so well, and it's not even been out. It ain't even been out. The Switch 2 came out in June. It came out June 12th, and we're in December. So this thing has literally been out for 5.5 months or 5 months, going on 6. And it's sold million. This thing is printing money. But people do still bitch about the price of the games, but it's like, or you see people bitch about game key cards and oh, I don't want game key cards. That's just greed. That's just greed. Where the fuck were y'all when Xbox and PlayStation were doing this for the longest? Where were y'all when PC was doing this for the longest? I see this with tech and gaming and pretty much everything else. People who have fuck all going on in their life have to find shit to bitch, whine, piss, and complain about. They have to find it because it's not readily there in their face. So they have to go out and find it to complain about. And it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm like I said, I look at this. Switch 2 is it's an astronomical success. It's getting game. And it's so funny because you have people that say, oh, the Switch 2 can't run this. But I'm like, the Switch 2 is running games that are running on current generation hardware. It may not be running at always at 60 frames per second. Sometimes it's running at 30 frames per second. But or it's got the variable refresh rate because that's built into it because they work with NVIDIA, right? So you got a lot of DLSS optimization running, right? So I look at this and I'm like, at what point do we just give up on trying to hate on this successful product? You ever notice that when something's successful, people want to hate on it? It's just funny. Yeah, Switch 2 is astronomical success. I play mine almost every day. Uh, it's not my primary platform to play on. It's just the most readily available for me. My primary platform I like playing on is PC. Now, I'm someone who started off as a console gamer and became a PC gamer truly about 2016. 2016 is when I fully went on board with being a PC gamer. But my preference for easy use is that I game on is my RGLA or Xbox RGLAX. That's what I game on primarily. And if I'm not gaming on that, I'm here at this desk playing on my game PC. Then occasionally, when I'm out there, just doing whatever, I'm traveling, a Switch 2 comes with me. And then my PlayStation, my Xbox, they get love after. My PlayStation first, and my Xbox after. That's just how it is. It's what it is. So I look at that and I'm just like, I just got options of what to play on, right? I just pick and choose. And I have some folks say, oh, you're a Nintendo fanboy, you PlayStation fanboy, you Xbox. If I own every fucking thing and I play on everything, that makes me a fanboy of gaming. and tech, not a particular platform, which is funny how people want to do the whole platform wars thing when nobody fucking cares about it. The industry don't care about the platform wars. They don't care. Xbox sure as shit don't care. And people keep trying to say, oh, Xbox is dead, it's failing. Then why are the numbers of subscription to Game Pass skyrocketing? And the fact that they're one of the top publishers in the world, but they're failing. And they're still making consoles. They don't give a shit if you don't buy an Xbox, you still gonna play their games. Do you monkey fucks not understand that? What is so hard to understand about that? They're gonna get your money regardless. And if you're not going to pay for it, hell, somebody else will. I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about, so bottom line, topping that off, Switch 2 its success. People keep hating on, keep saying they're trying to find every goalpost to shift and move around to complain about, but the bottom line is it's a success and people are playing it. People are buying it. It's probably going to outsell the Switch one. It probably will. But anyways, moving on. PlayStation 6, with it potentially, there's a lot of rumors coming out, it's going to have Steam as a capability. A lot of folks are trying to say that, PlayStation was losing money. I said it on this podcast before any other outlet, any other influencer or outlet said it. I said it first here that PlayStation made bank off of their games going to PC. And they did. They fucking did. Their top selling game that brought them in a crap ton of revenue was Stellar Blade on PC. And now we already know Death Stranding 2 on the beach is going to be, it's going to be coming to PC. So my thing is like, y'all who keep saying that we're going to have no more consoles because PC is going to take over. Well, if that's the case, we wouldn't still be getting dedicated hardware. PlayStation is going to make a PlayStation 6. They're not going to stop the PlayStation line. And the whole argument people are having now with the whole thing of saying, well, PlayStation is just going to become a PC. Xbox is just going to become a PC because they're going to have Steam functionality. These have been PCs since the 360 and PlayStation 3 era. They've been that. Their hardware, the infrastructure of it is a PC. The infrastructure of the Switch 2 is no different in many ways than a high-end gaming phone or tablet. So where is this confusion? The PlayStation 6, and Mark Cerny already says, it's not going to be a big leap over the 5 or the 5 Pro. And the speculation, the rumors and leaks and everything out there is it's going to have Steam functionality. To what capacity? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be gigantic, but it's going to be noticeable. And why not? Especially if you have to sign in to a PlayStation account to play these games. Like Xbox, the next one, they're going to do, I see Xbox really being the big difference maker here. Because what Steam is doing, what Valve is doing with the Steam machine is essentially what Xbox is going to do with their next console. Especially if it's going to have modular capability and it's going to be able to run Xbox games natively with the backwards compatibility all the way to the first Xbox from 2001. Not every game, but a good large swath of it. And having the capability of playing current gen and Steam. And also, like, I see Xbox giving you Steam and also giving you GOG and also giving you Epic Game Store and giving you Ubi Connect all built into it. If we have anything to go off of, which a lot of people slept on what Xbox and Asus did with the Xbox ROG Ally X, and I assume ROG is going to work with Xbox to make this next Xbox console. But you see that Xbox full screen mode, and I'm like, yo, that's dope. And I see that being the future of what we're going to expect from Xbox. You will have that, which will allow you to play your library of games you already own, native to Xbox and on PC, and being able to play all these other games in these different launchers and all this. I see that being a thing. Now, the one thing I haven't heard anyone talk about, but with the new Xbox and PlayStation, with them going to PC, is like, we're going to need antivirus. So, am I going to be able to put Bitdefender? Because I use Bitdefender. Can I use Bitdefender on these consoles? I feel like I might need to. But that's my thing. I'm excited to see where we're going. As someone who's been a gamer for 34 something years, right? I have seen us go from 8-bit pixels to 16-bit to 32-bit to 64-bit to 128-bit to what we got with PlayStation 2 and up to now. I've seen the graphical change. We're not having those graphical generational leaps anymore. It's just not happening. But I'm excited to see where they're going to shift the experiences, like how games are going to be played differently. AR and VR are becoming way more prominent now than they've been over the last, well, technically being a viable platform over the last decade plus. But we've come such a long way that I'm looking at this as how are we going to have more definitive genre defining exclusive experiences that you could only get on this platform or this or playing through this game. Or I'm just excited to see where everything is going to go, because I feel like we've plateaued on graphics. Everything is just incremental now. However, we got to factor in AI and how AI is going to be integrated into these new devices. Like, we already see how heavily AI is integrated into laptops and desktops, into our smartphones. I'm curious to see how they're going to start implementing that into consoles and whatever the next wave of gaming PCs, like the Steam machine, is that going to incorporate AI? I'm curious. I would like to know. I'd like to know what they can do with that. I think we're in a paradigm shift when it comes to the gaming industry and just technology in general. It is a paradigm shift, and from whatever you knew, you have to accept that that doesn't apply now, and that things are going to shift. If you read the market, you pay close attention to everything that's going on, you can see how everything is shifting. And this is how it is. But I'm excited to see where we're going. And I don't see Xbox dropping out of the race. Everyone keeps saying that. They've been saying that for years. They haven't done it. They're not going anywhere. They're still incredibly profitable. They are one of the top publishers in the world, if not the top publisher, next to Nintendo, are killing it with Game Pass. People are signing up for that. People are still actively using Game Pass, regardless of all the hoopla about Xbox is dying. They're still using that. PlayStation's still doing well. Everyone is doing well, and choice is not a bad thing. For the dumbasses that only want PlayStation to be the only gaming experience out there, or people who only want Steam Machine or Steam Deck to be the only experience, or only want Switch, y'all need to find the biggest, like the highest fucking cliff, and jump off of it by yourself or collectively with your little console war, platform war bullshit. Because more choice, when you take away choice, you take away competition, you end up with whoever wins coasting. Perfect example of that. Look at Tekken. Tekken 8, compared to everything else, there's nothing pushing it. And Tekken has always borrowed from Virtua Fighter. Literally took from Virtua Fighter everything and put their own little twist on it. Now, until Virtua Fighter comes back, it actually gives them a run for their money. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. That's why Tekken is what it is right now. But when you don't have competition, I mean, another great example, WWE, before we had AEW and everything else that's able to compete with it. That was the only show in town when WCW closed shop. And what did they do? They coasted because they had nothing to compete with. Competition brings out the best. So more choices, more competition is better for us consumers. Because if you just want one thing, that's just like fucking in missionary position. That shit gets boring. Sometimes I just want to turn you around, man, blow your back out, pick you up against the wall, pull your hair, mark you up, upside down, 69. I gotta have some variety. I'm the same way with my goddamn games. I need some variety. And what I play on, I need variety. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a bad thing. All that being said, though, what are your guys' thoughts on the Steam Machine, on PlayStation 6, on the next Xbox, on the Switch 2? Whatever your thoughts are, let's talk about it down below in the comment section. If you're listening to this on Spotify, thank you. Spotify is a sponsor of the show. Leave us a rating. I know all the Steam Deck bros downvoted the show and dropped our rating from a 5.0 to a 2.4. Fuck you, but you're not stopping nothing. We're going to keep going. So leave a rating if you enjoyed the show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, also leave a rating. We got a good rating over there. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, hey, we love you too. Leave us a comment, Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ding notification bell, and we're going to keep it moving. With that being said, guys, that's this episode of Decked Up, a Gaming Tech Podcast. I'm signing out. I hope y'all have a blessed and aloha rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.